All right, here we are live. Hi, me, Rabbi
Hi.
Brian. I know that because it says so right there on the scroll. I am joined today with a lot of friends. Friends are still joining in. And I found that I lose the audio, so I can't hear when I move over to everyone. So I'm going to ask everyone to just give a little bit of a gentle wave, say hi. And there's the whole group. I'm going to get off of this screen quickly. If you would like to join us, go to rotb.org, sign up for the newsletter, and you'll get an invitation so you can join this austere group. That's not the right word. You can join this awesome, fun-loving,
esteemed.
Give me some other words.
Magnificent.
Magnificent.
Oh, magnificent.
Unusual.
Unusual.
That's probably the most accurate, Ray.
Any other words we want to add? How else are we as a group?
Hilarious.
Do we say privileged? I think that's true, but I don't think that's what someone said.
No, hilarious.
We are hilarious. I also... Oh, look at that. I did the Frozen thing again. Oh, we are having camera difficulties here today. Don't know what's quite going on, so I'm going to switch to this much worse looking camera, but at least I'm moving.
Yes, you
My
are.
word, my word is unique.
We are a unique group. Oh, reminds me, how do you catch a unique rabbit? Unique up on it.
Unique up on it, yeah.
Jordan, you spend way too much time with someone.
How do you catch a tame rabbit?
Multifaceted.
We are a multifaceted group. That is true. If you're watching on YouTube, we're glad that you're watching. If you're watching on Facebook, glad that you're watching. rotb.org, glad that you're watching. You can watch this in reruns, and that's fine, and or watch it live. There's something really special about live. And oh, here, other camera just came back online. There we go, much better quality. Okay, I'm going to take a breath of air. Last week, I broadcast this from Las Vegas, and it was quite an amazing experience that I had in Las Vegas. I was there to perform a wedding, and during the wedding ceremony, this is kind of like I was in on the joke, but I said, "Can I have the rings?" And the groom says, "I don't have." And we checked with the bride, and the bride doesn't have the rings. Best man doesn't. Nobody has the rings. And a voice from the back of the room, and I'll show you whose voice that was in a second, says, "Maybe I can help." And this gentleman, can you recognize that guy? Not the one with the thumbs up. That one's me. Well, the other one is none other than David Copperfield. Comes up to the stage and says, "Maybe I can help with the rings." And he makes a rose bush appear and takes a rose, gives it to the mother of the bride, takes a rose. He makes a David Copperfield, folks. It was amazing. And then on the third rose he pulls out of this rose bush, there are the rings. And it was quite an amazing experience.
Whoa!
Thank you, Betsy. That was the reaction I was hoping
That's
for.
what he was looking for, right there.
The rest of you, thank you for joining. Take your cues from Betsy.
Wow!
We have a bunch of things to review from last week. We had given awards last week to people who were able to do something to stave off resentment. So last week I gave out awards to anyone who was able to figure out how to do something to avoid future resentment. And that went really, really well. We gave out a bunch of fake but very real awards. And there was something that dawned on me after the service, which was how to avoid regret. And there was something that all of the answers had in common, was do the right thing. That if you do the right thing now, chances are you'll avoid future regret. I thought that was profound, and I wanted to share. Anyone have anything that they did in the last week that they want to mention at this time that they did that can help them that helped them to avoid regret? Is there something anyone? I don't have the certificate anymore, so it's not as much fun as it was last week. But is there anything anyone has that they would like to share that they did in the last week? And if not that, I did. I wanted to go back to do this. We haven't used these for a very long time. These are lottery tickets, raffle tickets. And in the past, I would give a raffle ticket to anyone who did something for which they felt they were proud and deserved a raffle ticket. Is there something that you did in the last week that, and this is societally like something that we stopped doing in kindergarten, and we stopped saying good for me? And I'm wondering, is there something you did in the last week, a simple act, anything at all, that you did in the last week where you say good for me, and it's the kind of thing that you feel like you're willing to share with the group, and you want to have that little kindergarten moment of, hey, look at me, I did good. I'm going to go with Joe and then Ahava. Go ahead.
My brother is making a big move decision to Florida. Now, he hasn't seen the property at all, neither has his wife, so they're buying it sight unseen. And there are many things I would love to give unsolicited advice about with this particular decision that my baby brother is making. And do you know what I have said?
What?
Not one word.
Okay, nothing. Joe, that means you deserve, I'm going to put your name on the back of this raffle ticket. Joe.
Thank you.
Congratulations, you get this raffle ticket for not giving unsolicited advice. Ahava, what did you do in the last week that makes you feel you deserve a raffle ticket?
Okay, so I have close friends in Ottawa, and the wife died. And after her death, during Shiva, I was praying to God, and she spoke to me and she said, I want you to call my husband every Friday night after the Erev Shabbat service. And so I've been calling him every single Friday night after the Shabbat service. And I'm really proud and I told him that she came to me and said, I want you to do that. So I'm very, very proud that I, listened to the voice of God speaking to me, and second of all, that I was able to say why it was that I was calling him.
Wonderful, Ahava. You two get a lottery, a raffle ticket. I'd love to hear from one or two other people. Is there something you did in the last week that you're just proud of? And folks, look, this is countercultural, what I'm asking you to do. What I'm asking you to do is to be proud in public about an accomplishment you'd had. And that's not a thing we're used to doing. So, yeah, Jack, what do you got?
Yeah, I climbed up on 2 evergreen trees and took off all the Spanish moss that was killing the trees, and felt very good about that.
Good for you, Jack. Jack, you get, I'll rip one off for you as well. You get a ticket. And I'm going to, oh my goodness, call me crazy here, but I'm going to double down and give an extra ticket to Joe, Ahava, and Jack because they were brave enough to tell everyone something that they did. Was there anyone else, now that you know that you can get 2 raffle tickets? Does that...
My hand is up.
Oh, go ahead, John. I didn't see you. I apologize.
We Mennonites do this thing called adult Sunday school. After the service is over, we sit around and talk about issues or anything. And generally, lately, the discussion has been, okay, what did you get out of this morning's service? What spoke to you? During the course of the discussion, I raised 3 separate points that we covered on Saturday.
Here, what we did.
Service into my Sunday school setting on Sundays. And it's quite interesting because I get a lot of people they're not looking as if I'm a heathen for bringing up stuff from Saturday. They're just saying, that's interesting. Never thought of that.
Well, John, you're getting 2 tickets right now. The second one for sharing with the group. So thank you for sharing. Other things on review. Was anyone able to do this? We talked last week about how superheroes are not that one of the things that might make a superhero is that superheroes help and they don't walk off after they've helped with that huff and that resentment of going, gosh, I can't believe I had to help you out again. And I'm hoping that those of you out here in Religion Outside the Box land were able in the last week to be of help without resentment. Give me a hand up on your screen if I won't call on you, but just was anyone able to help without resentment last week? And keep your hand up if you can feel a little bit proud of yourself too. Good, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I'm having my main camera is frozen. Does it look to you like my lips and the words are coming out at a different rate?
Yeah, you're out of
You look fine.
All right. This is one of those days. So thank you for being of help without resentment. 2 other things to review. Sabbathing. Last week we talked about what it means to take a Sabbath. And I actually got an email from somebody who lives here in Portland. And they said, Rabbi, I need help. This Friday, Saturday is the only day that I'm able to move. And I'm used to doing my Sabbath on Friday and Saturday. And I have to move and hire a moving truck. And it's the only day I can do it. Please help. It was like a Dear Abby letter. It was, please help me, Rabbi. How do I maintain a Sabbath even though I'm not able to do my usual practice? And what I wrote back was, Sabbath is a state of mind. Sabbath is the way that you approach things. And that you can have a Sabbath no matter what it is that you're physically doing. You can have that mental state. And so let me ask you, what is that mental state? A moment ago, we played with words of what adjective we would use to describe the Saturday service. What adjectives would you use? What words would you use to describe a mental Sabbath state? A state of
Vastness.
Sabbath is a state of, go ahead, Aaron.
Vastness.
Vast with a V. Vast.
Vast.
Vastness.
Yeah. Vast. V-A-S-T, yes.
That vastness, that a Sabbath mentality has vastness to it. What else does a Sabbath mentality have to it? A Sabbath mentality would have
Calmness.
calm. Yeah. A Sabbath mentality would be blessed. Okay?
Self-permission. Self-permission to rest.
A little
Inner peace.
Inner peace, calm. We had that one, inner peace, indeed. What else does a Sabbath mentality entail?
Mental
Connection.
your heart.
Go ahead, Melissa, say that again, and then Jack, and then Carol.
A lack of urgency.
A lack of urgency.
Yeah.
You're getting a lot of amens on that one. Jack, and then Carol?
Mentally listening to your heart.
Mentally listening to your heart. I love that phrase. And Carol, you had something else to add?
I think that it's a day on which you finally can really be in touch with yourself. You've turned off all the external noise. And so it's a day that strengthens your integrity.
Yeah, I think the connecting back in with self, strengthening our integrity.
Connection.
Totally in touch with our mind.
Yeah. Connection, being in touch with our mind and our hearts.
Yeah. Introspective.
Introspection. Yeah.
There we go.
Is this anything that you're willing to do?
Every Saturday.
do it every day.
Are you willing right now?
Every day is Saturday.
Okay, then that's starting to get confusing there.
Welcome to my world.
Thank you, Rob. Oh, and hi, Aunt Alan. Good to see you.
Hi, Bri.
Good to see you, my friend. So taking a Sabbath, it's a passive active thing. It's a passive and active thing to take a Sabbath. John, you and I talked a little bit after the service in the little rabbi's room, breakout room, and you gave a great suggestion. And I'm going to ask everyone to try this one. Here's a cool Sabbath practice you can try. You have at least 5 senses.
Yeah.
I'm not making any commentary on what happens after 5. But the first 5 senses, let's take a moment and let's take a moment for each. So let's take a moment for hearing.
Pardon?
Hilarious, Rob. Let's take a moment just to listen. What do you hear? You don't have to answer that question, but take a moment to listen. Another sense of taste. That's a weird one, especially if you don't have new food in your mouth, but take a moment. And how about smell? What do you smell? Let's take a moment, Sabbath, and just take a moment to pause and to smell. And take a moment to feel. Just notice where your butt is in the chair. Notice where your hands are. Notice what your hands are touching right now. And I'm pretty sure I only got to 4 of them. What am I missing?
Seeing.
Seeing! Ah! Take a moment to see if you can't wide-angle lens your eyes a little bit more. To take in more, a little bit more spaciousness. That's a nice little Sabbath practice. Thank you for bringing that up to me, John. I do have an announcement to make, and it's a dear one. This is a picture. Hold on, it's loading onto my screen. This is a picture from 1970. You might not recognize the 2 people. You probably don't recognize the gentleman there.
Mm-mm.
But the lady you know.
Oh.
Do you know who that is?
Emily.
That's Emily. You can see it, right? If you know Emily. Wayne died about 2.5 hours ago this morning. He was in hospice. And Emily wanted to let us all know. And in that thought, I have a candle back here, which I'm going to light, a memorial candle. And I'm also it's a memorial annual anniversary of Justin Aquan from Alyssa and Brian buried him a year ago. So I'm going to take a moment to light a candle for Wayne and
Hey, Rabbi, I don't understand. He died now, but he was buried a year ago?
they're 2 separate people. Two separate people. Wayne just died a few hours ago, and Justin died a year ago, and his family I'm close to, and they asked me to light a candle for him as well.
So how is that Emily's relative in the picture?
It's Emily's beloved Wayne. Emily's husband just died about 6 o'clock this morning.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I did have a chance to talk with Emily last week and found out a bunch about Wayne.
Yeah.
And if you were there on Tuesday, you got to find out about how they met in 1969 and the first things that they said to each other and the dinners they had together. And they got married within weeks after they met. And that picture, you can just see the life on the two of them. So,
Yeah.
and Emily, I know you're listening in today. And if you would like to share anything, I don't know if Emily is right there with us or she's running around doing something else.
I am here.
Aww.
For some reason or other, my ears are plugged up and I'm having a hard time hearing. But
God bless.
am I?
Love you, Emily.
We can hear you, Emily. We can hear you just fine.
Okay, now I can't seem to get the picture.
Dan,
Start video.
Mom,
Here, now.
they said, is there anything you'd like to say about Dad? Is there something?
Is your video's not coming
I
through?
will.
Emily?
Yes, I would like. Yes, I'll tell you what. One of the things, two things. Number one, Carol. I remember Carol quoting me that verse in Song of Solomon that love is stronger than death. And the other thing is that Wayne was the most honest man I have ever known.
Yeah.
And he loved me, and he still does.
Yes.
I think I can't talk anymore.
Emily, thank you for sharing that. Would you mind telling us the you said about Wayne being honest, what it was that he said to you when you realized it was after that dinner that you guys had, and then you took a little bit of a break, and then he gave you a call.
Oh yes. Oh, he was so bad. He was so bad. I'll start my video again. Yes, I'll tell you what he said. He was so bad. Yes.
You can't start the video. The host stopped it. So
I'll start it up again. I apologize, Rebecca.
Okay,
that's all right. That's all right.
There we go.
Okay, push that.
Okay, my daughter is here.
No, there's something's wrong with your camera there today. I can't figure out what.
Oh, here.
Okay.
There you are.
Oh, there you are.
He was so bad. I'll tell you something about Wayne. Now, I was a shy person. Yeah, right.
She lies, by the way. Dad doesn't do it.
Yeah. After we had one date, and we hugged before he left. I thought he was going away, and he went to California. He was traveling all over the country. I figured I'd never see him again. And I wrote him a letter and told him it was the funnest date I'd ever been on. And you know, he called and he said to me, I just saw a dirty movie and I thought about you. Can you imagine him? I said, well, get up here as fast as you can. That was, and 3 months later we got married.
Emily, thank you for sharing that with us, and thank you for sharing your heart with us. Rebecca, is there anything you want to share?
Oh, not right now, but thank you.
Okay.
I'll tell you.
He was a wonderful father.
Yeah, the kids were 8, 10, and 12 when he married us.
All the medication.
Yeah. Well, Emily, if you take a moment and look at all these people around, you know that love doesn't end with death. Love continues on, and all of these people love you. We're all here for you. Thank you for sharing. I think this would seem like a good time for us to bring in our prayer list. Maria, would you mind bringing us to our prayers?
Yes. These are the names of people on the list this week. Wayne in loving memory, Emily and family, Francis, Maria, Marilyn Wilson, Rob B., Rita S., Phil, Linda, Carla, Donna, Pat and family, Bill and Vicky, Mary, Robert Siegel, Ann Siegel, Myra Hannah Botfrieda, Butch Buys, the Cook family, Dominique McClure and her daughters, Mary Wolfe, Athena and Adam Dayer, Frank DeToma, Adam Kranick, Andrew Vasnick, Dave Dayer in spirit, Karen K., Raina, Tina, Lisa J., Patrick M., Enrico Salvo, and Craig Lavielle in hospice. If there is another person in our community we can offer light and love to, please put their name in the chat and I will add them to the list in the clubhouse. And for the people who aren't named, but who are in our thoughts, we send them light and love as well.
Thank you, Maria, for adding that. And if people want to add in other names for next week, please to find us at rotb.org, and you'll find in the clubhouse there's a listing where we can add in names. Let's take a minute at a time, starting right now. Thank you all. I have a quote I wrote down, and I'm curious not for immediate reaction, but I want you to muse on it for a second, for a moment, before you react. People are trying to be helpful despite what it might seem. People are trying to be helpful despite what it might seem. People are trying to be helpful despite what it might seem. What do you make out of that?
Well, a lot of people may be trying to be helpful by staying out of your way.
And they're trying to be, so somebody's not paying attention to you, someone's keeping out of your way. Maybe they're trying to be helpful. I think maybe, let me restate what my premise, which is that people aren't trying to be hurtful. People aren't trying to be difficult. People are trying to be helpful, despite what it might seem.
I would contend there needs to be a phrase in front of that.
Okay.
In their own minds.
Ah. Yeah. That's exactly it. People believe they are trying to be helpful, despite what in our minds it might seem. People in their minds believe they're being helpful despite how we may interpret it.
Yeah.
That's a hard pill to swallow. Carol, help me out.
I think anytime we say something as if it's universal, we're going to think of exceptions. And I think just say it is very frequently the case that people are trying to be.
Okay, I like that. It is frequently the case that people who annoy us are trying to be helpful.
That's better.
In parentheses, in their own minds. It is often the case that the people who annoy us believe that they are trying to be helpful. I like that. That's a better way of saying it. It is often the case that the people who are annoying us are in their minds trying to be helpful. Michael, help us make sense of it.
I would go at it from another position, and that is that phrase.
Wait, hold on a second. Hold on a sec. We got a rogue microphone. Okay, go ahead, Michael. Oh, no, Michael, now you're muted. Hold on. We're having a day of technology. You try one more time. There you go.
One more time. I think this conversation could be easier if we look at ourselves first.
All right, help me out.
What frustrates me in not being able to communicate with another person in a way that a conversation can happen?
And can you answer that question?
Well, it means we have to go deeper into ourselves and our own behavior and not look outside of ourselves for, problems. And it comes back to the question of responsibility. How much responsibility?
I got an email from someone over the last week, and they said, Rabbi, it seems like your goal is to have us think about what it is that we do so that we can have a better life. And I wrote back, yes.
That's it. So the question is what keeps us from being heard, being seen?
Yeah. Much of the time, the people who annoy us were trying to be helpful. Oh, that's really difficult. Isn't that difficult? I don't like that phrase very much. I think it might be true, and it might be a hard pill to swallow. Much of the time, the people who annoy us were trying to be helpful. Ugh.
It has a personality that comes across differently.
Go ahead, was that Connie speaking?
Yes, everybody has a personality, and when things are said, it comes off different from that personality as to somebody else who could say the same thing, but in a different tone.
Yeah, it might not have been annoying if someone else had said it, if someone else were in the same situation. Oh boy,
I gotta get out.
Is this like the spaghetti in the lap?
Ron, is this like the spaghetti in the lap? The spaghetti in the lap, in case that doesn't mean anything to you, the spaghetti in the lap reference is a quote by Irving Becker that says, if you like someone, the way they... I'm sorry, let me start that again. Irving Becker said, if you dislike someone, the way they hold their spoon will offend you. But should you like them, they could drop a plate of food in your lap and you wouldn't mind. Let me say that again because it's frankly brilliant. Yeah. If you dislike someone, the way they hold their spoon will offend you. Oh, look at her. She got the stupid haircut. That was someone you didn't like. If you dislike someone, the way they hold their spoon will offend you. Everything they do. Oh, that new bag? That's stupid. But if you like them... Oh my God, she got a new haircut. I love it. They could drop a plate of food in your lap. Oh my gosh, that bag, it's so different. Wonderful. They could drop a plate of food in your lap and you wouldn't mind. Ahava, you got your hand raised.
I do. I was going to say that I have this positive outlook that the whole world and everybody in it is always helping me, even though the reality may be that they're not. But somehow that outlook keeps me in hope.
Yeah. So that's what I'm getting at is, can we get ourselves to a it's easier for me to deal with someone if I think I have a choice. Oh, maybe it's not a choice, but I have a choice to say they're trying to be annoying or they're trying to be helpful. And if I'm annoyed and I think, oh, they're out to get me, it's going to go worse than if I'm annoyed and go, oh, they're trying their best, darn it.
How do you fit unsolicited helpfulness into that?
Well, let's transition. Thank you, Harold. Let's transition to, now, I don't know that this was ever intended this way. Oh, come on, cameras. There it is. Unsolicited advice. It just happens to be the initials of the country what I love and live in. Unsolicited advice. Oh, frozen again. There. We're gonna have to do it without my pad of paper there. Unsolicited advice. So before we speak about unsolicited advice, which we spoke about some last week, I want to explain the unsolicited part. There's an idea of authorization. Sometimes you are authorized to do something and sometimes you are not. And sometimes it is unclear if you are authorized or not. I learned this lesson when I was about 20-something years old and I was working in an architectural firm. And do you remember the Letraset rub-on letters?
Oh,
yeah. Remember those? I thought those were the coolest things. Well, so in the architectural firm, I was there to do drafting, which did not, as you can tell from my career choices later, it was not a fit. They had a stack, because it's an architectural firm, of these Letraset letters in boxes, and each box was supposed to be, this one's Helvetica, this one's, they're all the different typefaces in the world. And they got mixed up, right? It's a large architectural firm and these huge boxes. And I thought, well, this is a mess. I'm going to clean these up. And so I took the boxes down and I start sorting through them. And I'm hours into this ridiculous project. And my manager comes by and very cross says, "What are you doing?" Me, proud, says, "I'm cleaning up this mess." "Who told you to do that?" "Oh. Well, no one had told me to do that. I took it on myself." And I learned the important lesson. I mean, I didn't master the lesson, but I learned my first go at it. I learned that I wasn't authorized to do that. It was a hierarchical system, and my boss did not tell me, "Hey, in your spare time, do this." I was doing on company time, which was the time they were paying me to do what it is that they wanted me to do. It was
like, who told you it was a mess?
Right. Nobody had authorized me to do it. Students in my high school classroom, when I taught in high school, I would ask them if adults gave them unsolicited advice. And the answer was always yes. And I said, "Did you ever ask the adult, 'Hey, I'm curious, old person, how do you think I should be spending my days?'" And I said, they never asked the old person, but an older person by virtue of their age, felt themselves to be authorized to give a student unsolicited advice.
Thanks, Boomer.
Yeah, thanks, Boomer. Oh, it was annoying. My kids said that to me, and I was like, but I'm not a boomer. It wasn't thanks, Boomer. It was okay, Boomer. Okay, Boomer. That's what it was. Unsolicited, unauthorized advice. And then last week we got into a little bit of trouble here, and it started to get confusing. Because if nobody told me when I'm driving, hey, your back left tire seems to be out of air, I don't drive around my neighborhood saying, hey, I authorize you to tell me if I'm having a flat tire. I don't authorize anyone to do that. But it's really of use if somebody tells me that I have a flat tire. There's unauthorized, unsolicited, but very helpful. And then the example went both ways with, hey, I really like your shirt. That's unsolicited advice, unsolicited commentary. But we're okay to hear that. On the other hand, there's, I really don't think that shirt looks good on you. Same exact example, but all of a sudden we don't like it. It goes back to what we were saying moments ago. Much of the time, the people who... No, it doesn't fit into that. I'm going to take that back. I thought it did. Never mind. Unsolicited advice. How many of you, have been on the end of receiving unsolicited advice in the last 15 to 20 years? That would be almost everyone. Okay. Interesting. There are a few of you who did not raise their hands. I don't know how that's possible, but how many of you in the last 10 to 15 years gave unsolicited advice?
Oh, gosh.
It seems to be more people this time. Again, I'm confused as to how this is happening, but that's fine. Do I have my authorization with regard to my children? My job is to give them unsolicited advice. Often.
Right. Raising your child.
I'm raising my children.
Parents nowadays aren't doing very good.
I'm a little bit folks, I'm here. Hey, hi, me, honest. I'm a little confused as to where to take this discussion now. It's not.
I've got an idea. Can I say something? You got a minute? Or
go, Michael, go.
Oh. Okay. I think you bringing up the idea of authority is very much like you began this conversation. And it's very relevant also to the context of what we're doing here as a religious, outside the box religious organization, and trying to deal with this cognitively, religion cognitively and morally. And I think authority,
right?
We might want, the right.
Well, that's an interesting question.
Right, yeah, it's huge.
Michael,
I mean, it is at the core of religious thought.
And then, am I what is my authorization within this group?
Well, and underneath it is the question of power and right.
Well, you all showed up. Nobody made you come to this. We all know that it's my Zoom account. I'm not the host of it, but I am the authority here.
Right.
Do I have the right to tell you what to do?
It's up to us to decide.
Yeah.
It's up to you to decide.
Right. Each one of us.
I agree with you. It makes this a very interesting religious group. It's not the way it usually goes. Jack.
Exactly.
Well, how many times in your life when this was happening did they preface it by saying, take this for what it's worth?
Aha. That's a big difference, isn't it? If someone says, hey, you didn't ask me, and take this for what it's worth. But I've noticed that is very different than saying, hey, stop doing this, do this, and you blah, 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 blah.
That's not advice. Those are commands.
Yeah.
Unsolicited. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So let me go back to, there's a distinction between, so a demand and an advice. I think it's parallel to something we've spoken about before, which is the difference between a request and a demand.
Yeah.
And if you haven't heard this before, bear with me. And if you've heard it before, bear with me. This is a deep one. It's only a request if the person hearing it doesn't think. It's only a request if the person hearing it doesn't think they will be punished for non-compliance.
Yeah, kind of.
It doesn't matter how nicely I tell my son to undo the dishwasher. It is a demand. Because I will hold it against him if he does not do it. And actually, it doesn't even matter if I will hold it against him. It matters if he thinks I'll hold it against him. And in this case, he's going to be probably right. I try not to.
Not really.
Not hard enough.
Yeah, really.
It's only a request. Maybe it's only advice. Let's apply what, Rita, you're saying. It's only advice if it's taken as advice. But if it's taken as, this is what you should be doing, if it's taken as a command, then it's no so cool.
Right.
Do you want this basket in the bedroom?
So what is our takeaway here? Our takeaway is we ought to blankety blank blank blank, or we should blank, keeping all of this in mind, we should blankety blank blank. What? Give me the blankety blanks.
Let me give you some. Let me give you something I learned quite a while ago.
Yeah, Harold.
And
Thank you.
The speaker is always responsible for the listener. The speaker is always responsible for the listener. You can't assume that the listener understands what you say. So when you're giving advice or you're giving instructions, you can't assume anything. You have to make sure that you as the speaker have guaranteed the message to the listener.
And to tag on to that, Harold, often I hear people say, right? Question mark? Assuming that the other person will say, yeah. But the asking, or they say, well, does that make sense? And the answer to does that make sense is always a perfunctory yes. Almost always a perfunctory yes. A better technique is to say, what is it that you just heard me say? Because I want to check for understanding.
Right, exactly.
Then we can know that something was transmitted. Ray, go ahead.
Right.
Thank you, Harold.
Well, I was thinking about how often people think they're giving advice, and it's not advice at all, it's criticism.
Oh, give an example, Ray.
Oh, it'd be a good idea if you did this, or why didn't you do this? I would have done it that way. That's not advice. That's criticism. It has a whole different edge to the sword.
So then how do you start it off? What do you say? Would you like to hear my opinion?
Yeah, I like, for what it is worth, here is what has worked for me. Mm-hmm. And that puts the whole thing back on me. That's what worked for me. And they can say, well, it doesn't work for me. Okay, we got that. I got that. We're square now. But you've done what you said what you wanted to do without saying, well, why didn't you empty the dishwasher? I'd ask you to, or and is there some reason you didn't empty the dishwasher? Or whatever. But sort of like that.
Or I told you to.
Well, usually, let me see what happens, and I'll get to John. Usually, it's on his way to school. He didn't get to it in time in the morning, which throws my thing back. Now, I said that because I was curious if I could trap any of you mentally in thinking, well, what you really should do, Rabbi, is blankety blank, 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 blank. Where I didn't ask. I didn't ask. I'm just letting it be known. John and then Maria, then Bob.
In anticipation of this part of the discussion, at about 40 minutes ago, I posted in the chat a poem by Pete Hine, whom I've used before as Crooks. The title of the poem is Good Advice. The poem, Shun Advice at Any Price. That's what I call good advice.
Unfortunately for Pete Hine, I cannot take that advice. You get that because it was Pete Hine giving. We're on the same page. Maria, go ahead. Thank you, John.
Well, perhaps when we feel that need to give unsolicited advice, it's an opportunity to step back and say something such as Jordan had mentioned last week, right? Do you want to be helped, heard? No.
Yeah.
Helped, hugged, or heard, sort of thing. And or to ask them, would you like advice? And feel free to say no.
Yeah. I find I often want to give advice because it makes me feel like I'm smarter than that person. I know what you should do. It's easy. If it's that easy.
I'm much older than you. I have lots of...
Look at all this gray hair I have in my beard. I must know something. Go ahead, Bob.
I think a lot of it depends upon the circumstances. Because in my career, when part of my responsibility was to train or to help other people learn how to do the task.
Correct.
And so that I think that would be one option.
But Bob, in that case, that was your job. You were so authorized to train and to give advice and to help. That was explicit in the game, in the situation.
That part is correct. And even working with my coworkers, if I had found a better way to do something that it would be beneficial for me to share that with somebody else.
Yeah. And then it gets confusing. It gets confusing then when you see, I don't know, a middle-aged rabbi struggle with his son putting dishes next to the sink, and you have an idea that will help. Of course you want to share it.
Yes.
Much of the time, the people who annoy us are trying to be helpful.
And sometimes I think that maybe those suggestions might be preceded by, if I were doing something, this is how I would do it.
Right.
Rather
This is what you should do.
Right.
And making sure that it's taken as lightly and with help and with love. Thank you, Bob. Rita, go ahead. And then we're going to move to one other topic.
Well, see, for me, often instead of advice, listening is the most helpful thing when I'm in the midst of a conversation with someone and I think I know what they ought to do. I say, tell me more.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to wean ourselves off of wanting to fix.
Yeah.
We're all trying to be helpful. Helps. Yeah. I love it. I'm going to sneak one in, one more idea. Oh, I have to make some announcements. Let me do announcements, and we probably won't get to announcements. Here's the first announcement, as always. There it is. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay. Oh, my camera came back. Look at that. My camera came back on all by itself. Yay. It's okay to not. It's okay not to be okay. That's really important to remember. Other announcements. Anne, are you able to tell us about our new and improved clubhouse?
Yeah. Do we have a minute to share my screen?
Yeah, do it.
Okay. Let me just see. Is everybody seeing?
Yep.
My screen. You see right now. What you should be seeing is the Religion Outside the Box website. The new Clubhouse, you don't need to download any special app. It's all access directly from Rabbi Brian's main website. So you click on the Clubhouse, and if you're new, you'll create an account, and it's fairly simple. If you've already created an account, you just always come to the Clubhouse link and log on here. If you use your browser to save your password, you can do that in Chrome, for example. That makes it even easier. So once you log on, this is the Clubhouse. So this is a test account. So this account is going to go away. What you see here is these areas here: general chat, introduce yourself, prayer list, Mondays and Saturdays. These are kind of categories of discussions. And then click on one of those and you'll see various topics. You can go back there. You can. So here's a topic, discussion topic, and you can respond to it. You can respond to somebody else's response.
Wait, are there little hearts there? You can add a heart?
You can add a heart. So here's another one. So Maria has responded to my response. I like her response. I'm going to give it a like.
And can you show them in the bottom right corner under where the thanks showed up, that little bell?
Okay, so I'm actually going to go back to the main Clubhouse so you can see everything in context. So the bell is your little alerts. So here you can see I've got some notifications. And then you can, it's kind of hard with there. And to set whether you want to get notifications, you'll go to there's a setting in the settings, this little cog here. We also want you to add your image so people know who you are. So you can fill out your profile just by clicking on that cog. The other thing that you can do is, so your notifications will be in this bell, but there's also a feature here for if somebody sends you a private message, you can get notified by email if you choose to be notified. So yes, you can send private messages.
And there's the member list. Show them that so they can get a sense of.
Yeah. So here's the member list. You will see that's a little bit slow. Let's resume. It's a little bit slow, but you see all the members there. If you want to send somebody a message, you can just go directly from here. You can also search for a member. So let's see if this works. Hopefully this will work. So there's Maria, and I want to send her a message.
That's wonderful, Anne. And folks, if you send Anne a message and say, thank you, Anne, for putting in hours and hours of time to set this up for us. This did not just happen. This was built.
We love you, Ann Meyer. Oh, yes, we do. We love you, Ann Meyer. Oh, yes, we do.
Use my real account, not the alpaca, because alpaca's going to be away.
We love you, Ann Meyer.
The other thing that the other thing that we do have is we do have some semi-secret rooms. So the main Clubhouse is where a lot of our discussion is happening with our large group. But there are some, if you click on forums, you can get back to our little secret rooms like the Shekinah group, the poetry room, Jew Curious, and the 12-step. So you see those there. And then if you want to go back to the main room, just click on Clubhouse and it takes you back.
Thank you, Anne.
Yeah.
Folks,
a few other features that aren't active yet, but I will, so you can ignore the subscribe and these little things don't work yet, but they're coming.
Thank you, Anne.
Great work.
Folks, Anne, take a look at everyone's face on the screen for a moment. It's a lot of people. They are all appreciative, as am I. I'm going to stop our recording now. So wave goodbye to everyone. Everyone, say goodbye.